In case you missed it, Eric Voorhees delivered a fantastic keynote at the Permissionless conference in Austin, Texas. He talks about why the rule of blockchain is better than the rule of law, gives the SEC direction for what they should do next, hint, get out of the effing way, and tells us why crypto devs should be given Nobel Prizes. I put together some of the best clips from his speech, so let's dive in. It's time to discover crypto. He starts with this.
Raise your hand if you're here because you love banks. No hands.
Crickets, okay? We know why we're here. We're here because we don't like banks. Yes, okay, sure, a Lambo's good, but all right, Eric, come on, let's get with it here.
Raise your hand if you're here to get your eyeballs scanned by WorldCoin.
All right, right there, he's talking about WorldCoin. I feel bad for the people who actually did scan their eyeball.
Raise your hand if you're here to celebrate KYC or other forms of wholesale spying on innocent people. All right. Raise your hand if you're here for a rebellion. All right, there's some hands.
And that's ultimately true. I think there's a little bit of rebel in all of us. Cue the James Dean clip.
You're tearing me apart!
All right, this next clip, he's going to talk about how the ethos of crypto is similar to the ethos of a frontier America.
And as I was working on this speech, I realized that the theme was going to match the name of the event, Permissionless. I love this name. It's one of the best words that captures the essence of our industry. It is radical, it is rebellious, it's non-compliant, it's American.
This is America. It's American. You know, I kind of kid, but at the end of the day, he's ultimately right. We need to take back control because that would be the American ideal, and we have lost control of our money. All right, well, let's hear why Eric Voorhees says Bitcoin is interesting.
Why was Bitcoin interesting? It was interesting because it was permissionless. Bitcoin invented permissionless money. And with the invention of smart contracts on Ethereum a few years later, we had all the tools we needed to build an entirely permissionless financial system.
Permissionless financial system? I mean, what does that mean? Permissionless. They can't stop Bitcoin, and by they, I mean the big bankers. Bitcoin is bigger than them already, and they hate it. All right, now you might be saying, well, DZ, isn't cash permissionless? Well, let's see what Eric has to say about that.
You may say that cash is permissionless, but not if you're sending it across any distance. Try moving $10,000 across a border, and you will be swiftly reminded of the permissions that are imposed on you. No, cash is not even permissionless.
And he brings up a great point right there. Cash isn't permissionless. We have it in our idea, oh, it's free, I can exchange freely, but like he says, jump on a plane with, he says 10K, imagine $1 million, imagine trying to move $1 billion. With Bitcoin, that is possible. And all right, that sounds great and all, but how can it change the world?
Consider that essentially all action in the economic sphere requires money. And in a world where most people struggle to put food on the table, the economic sphere is literally the arbiter of life or death for billions.
And when he talks about arbiter, he means the people making decisions for you, sometimes against your own best interests. And that's why I like crypto, because it frees us from that.
Most people don't have the luxury of working toward their passion. They work, they toil, they transact because they need to live. Thus, money is fundamental to our human existence. And because of this, we should care about its quality, we should care about its character, and we should care who controls it. The permission is often subtle, but it is ubiquitous.
Okay, here he's bringing up a good point. We always have to ask for permission for something. All right, well, that's going to set up this next clip.
So long as you behave, citizen, the permission will be there. But if you require permission to spend and to trade, then you require permission to exist.
You require permission to exist. How does that make you feel?
That the chains bear lightly down in most cases should not lull us into forgetting that the chains exist.
That the chains bear lightly. It should not lull us into forgetting that the chains exist. That's a very powerful statement right there. So here's what Eric Voorhees sees for society. He believes it could actually function indefinitely without limits and borders. But as he puts it, some men like to plunder. He gives us this example. Let's watch.
Some men love to plunder. The permission to keep what you earned and to move freely across borders was gradually retracted, wrapped always in appeals to collectivist propaganda like the national interest. Today, across all the taxes that you bear, half of your money is stolen by the state. But the state is just a set of strangers. So half of your money is stolen by a set of strangers. What excuse do you tell yourself to cope with such embarrassment?
Sure, we have a bigger population now, but there's no denying our politicians and the big companies are crooks. Okay, well, let's hear his solution.
We are saying no to the perpetual encroachment of permissioned existence. It is not the political process, the political circus, that saves us from this phenomenon, for that is the very process which caused it. No. As free men and free women, our salvation is our own responsibility. It is us. It is ourselves, our minds, our hands, and our decision to act, and we are doing so without permission.
We do, okay? We are the solution. That means we gotta work for it.
Permission is what the kindergarten child attains to go to the bathroom. It is not what the respectable man attains in his financial affairs.
So you're saying it's up to us. Dang right. Now that one gets a slow clap. Here's what permission transaction makes us, according to Voorhees. Now check this out and see what you think.
We've allowed ourselves to be treated like farm animals. We graze in the pen, we produce, we are harvested. But we can vote, however. Yes, we can choose who operates the shears. We can vote whether we want red or blue to rob us, and we argue endlessly over the preferable color.
Bah! Sheep!
That legion of bureaucrats suckling at the teat of plundered wealth, with all their ornaments of authority, with all their hubris masked as confidence, with the inauthenticity of their smiles matched only by the absurdity of their ideas. And I find no reason to submit to the permissions under which they seek to restrain me. To such people, we owe nothing, but to humanity, we owe much. That's why we're here, and crypto is our rebellion.
This is our rebellion. Guys, this is huge because Bitcoin is our money, okay? It is for us.
The permission of the state is a facade, a ruse tolerated only by those afflicted with Stockholm Syndrome.
The permission is a facade. We saw that firsthand with the Canadian truckers.
Crypto is the freedom to act out our own economic interests as free men and free women in a just society. To trade, to exchange, to deal, to build, to barter.
To deal, to barter. So he's definitely talking about degenning into small cap meme coins, right? I'm reading between the lines on this one.
We should be optimistic. For what a time to be alive at the dawn of such peaceful revolution, where any two people on Earth can trade value without permission. Does that scare you? Or does that thrill you?
That doesn't frighten me, it fills me with excitement. Okay, so he does talk about some of our degen behavior. Raise your hand if you're guilty. All right, let's check this out.
The question we should always ask ourselves, are we agents of good or of chaos, and how would we know? Are we merely rebellious adolescents, enabling a chaotic world without permission? Are we no more than subversive degenerates, petulant teenagers who, too immature and naive to see the value of order, lash out at its very existence?
Can I be immature and a degen? And ultimately, that degen handle is used against us, but he's got a really good rebuttal.
What we seek is not actually freedom from permission and rules per se, but simply a preference for rules which are objective and transparent, rather than the status quo of rules which are subjective and opaque.
Nailed it 1000%.
We like to say that code is law, but that's a misnomer. Code is better than law. And we are highlighting for the world to see the fundamental difference between law based on men and law based on math.
Code is better than law. I couldn't agree more. I would trust a smart contract before I'd crush a crooked politician.
Compare a redundantly audited and formally verified smart contract to any embarrassing mess of congressional legislation. Which is more scientifically sound? Which is actually a better demonstration of order? One is a matter of engineering, the other is a matter of electioneering.
But he's got a really good point there. I wouldn't look at every white paper as Hammurabi's code or just the supreme law of the land. All right, he also addresses the securities law issue, and it's pretty funny. Let's check this out.
Compare a smart contract in which every variable is mathematically defined to the Securities Act of 1933, which has $1,000 an hour lawyers arguing over the degree to which cartoon pictures of bored apes are comparable to Florida orange groves.
I do have a mutant ape. I have never looked at my mutant ape as an orange tree before, but now I can't help but see the distinction. All right, Voorhees says to the regulators in the audience, before you send me another subpoena, here's what I think are the differences between rules made by men and rules made by math. Let's hear about those math laws.
But all of us should desire orderly, objective, transparent markets. And to all the regulators in the audience, before you send me yet another subpoena, consider that this is the common ground we share. We all want rules. We all want rules.
We all want rules, but we want good ones.
And this is the most important point that I'll make today. The traditional financial system is built on the rules of men rather than the rules of math, and society can do better. The rules of men are formed through a political process, which all people acknowledge as fallible and often corrupt. The rules of men rely on highly subjective human language and leave wide areas open for interpretation.
Wait a minute. You're going to tell me all these legal documents use language that people can't understand? Guys, that's a feature, not a bug. Well, let's hear Voorhees' response to Gary Gensler's idea that all cryptocurrencies are securities.
Gary Gensler alleges that all tokens are securities. Okay, Gary, why hasn't the SEC enforced against all tokens? The most charitable explanation is that they are under-resourced. Okay, but that still proves the point that financial regulation as it exists today is subjectively and partially enforced. And if we care about orderly markets, how can we respect that? How can we respect that? Compare this to any smart contract, which enforces 100% of the time, and we can all know, a priori, how that enforcement will be executed. Uniswap's enforcement division is never under-resourced, and the rules by which it operates are objective and transparent. We don't have to suffer subjective rules in the realm of finance any longer. But instead of Uniswap winning the Nobel Prize for the development of orderly markets, they are persecuted by the very agency tasked with ensuring orderly markets.
Smart contracts are the only place where it's enforced 100% of the time. That's the mic drop moment. And here he lays out just how easy it is to violate these laws and rules.
There is a law that I may not cross a border without declaring $10,000 in my pocket. Interesting. I can so easily violate that law that it's an embarrassment, the very definition of that word.
He goes on to say that the laws of physics and math can't be broken like these human-made laws can. He makes us look good here. Watch this.
Compare the open source collaboration of crypto with the backroom dealings of DC. Which process of rulemaking is more noble and more virtuous?
His speech centers around making financial markets orderly, and in his view, blockchain has cracked the code. He asks which process of rulemaking is more noble. Obviously, it's crypto. All right, here's where he's going to connect inflation, government control, and financial regulation. Spoiler alert, he said they should be appraising you.
We are here to build peacefully, and we impose on no one. So do not let the status tell you that you do not care about rules or society. For you are building a superior technology for rules within society. And it is they, the politicians, the regulators, the leeching, plundering class of Washington, D.C., who should be praising your fine work in the realm of order and rulemaking. Compared to what we are building, they are the agents of chaos. They are the people printing billions of dollars and then pretending not to know where inflation comes from.
Inflation. That had to be said, right? You can't make the money printer go brrrr and wonder where all the USDs came from.
For them to claim the moral or intellectual high ground in any matter of economics is absurd. They could at least have the decency to get out of the way.
Another mic drop. They could at least have the decency to get out of the way. He says they find permissionless finance abhorrent because they can't control it. And that's just the thing, folks. They can't. Guys, this was a fantastic keynote speech from a crypto OG who's had the SEC go after him, and he sees a vision for blockchain to give everyone a fair shot, release people from government control, and move forward with a whole new system of transacting. Click the link below to watch the speech in full. That's all from DZ. Thanks for watching Discover Crypto. Hit that like button on the way out, and see you at the top.